It's hard not to be shocked within the first few seconds. Think about it. When you saw my studio, no matter how prepared you were, when you first saw the space, you must have thought to yourself, like, oh my God. For most people, logic trumps irrationality. Irrationality trumps logic for me. That's pretty counterintuitive. I don't like that that's the way it is, but that's the way it is. You know, like, what am I going to do? Not accept it and be pissed off? It no longer matters that even if I remember it, let alone if anybody has any idea what it's all about. Like this, like, whatever, the things I wrote at the time meant stuff. But now I forgot what it meant, and it doesn't matter what it meant. Because thinking about what it meant detracts from what's going on right now. My painting got rejected because it looked like graffiti, and looked like anybody could do it. You know? I'm like, fine, great. It does look like graffiti. It does look like anybody can do it. But you know what? Anybody could do it if they're willing to sit there for hours and hours and hours and paint the chair like this. But you know what? Most people are not willing to do that. Look at this door. This is serious obsessive compulsive behavior. Look at this piece. That took a long time. I know when paintings are done, when they end in interesting places, and I thought to myself, how cool is that? You know, it just has the texture of completion. Let me just look through. I work on notebooks for like. So let me find a piece.
But you could pass through a couple of interesting places on the way. I mean, you could.
Yeah. But for example, like a piece like this could be complete. But it has the texture of incompletion to me because there's all these open spaces here, you know? So let's say I wrote the word Vermeer right here. That makes it more complete. But then there's room to write Vermeer right here. And the more that I do, you pass the time, I listen to music, and I draw whatever I feel like drawing. Okay. You know, this is like a parody of like a comic book character, you know? Like, okay, so now I'll make it more comic book. Okay, I'm gonna write the adventures. I'll just write the adventure because that's even better, because like you would think adventures, but it's the adventure of boat hooks in I'll draw 3 quotation marks because I just like the way it looks. In the boot, there's the boot. Okay, so I'll draw an arrow. So obviously people won't know it's the boot, but I'm gonna make it even more obvious. That's the boot. So I'll make it the adventures. Okay, so the adventures of, no, it looks like the Bopox. So I'll draw it over here to make it obvious that it's not. The adventures of Bopox. So then, I don't like this, so then I move on to the next one. So this is, so you see what I'm doing? This is how I work. But like, see this drawing? It's not done. It could be done, but I could go here and I could go like this. You know, or this piece is less done because I go like this. Different at the edge of the horizon than it is. So this is what I'll do all day long because it prevents me from having a complete nervous breakdown. That's my choice. What do I want to be, in a mental institution or down here? Down here's better. I submit to you.
I mean, that, it seems like it's uncharacteristic for you. Is this one done? Is the face done?
Which one? Oh yeah, that's very uncharacteristic for me. Yeah, I worked in that piece for, I did nothing but worked in that piece for like 3 months. That's all I did. Very uncharacteristic. But I just figured, I just want just to do like a portrait. And I just worked really hard. Usually I work on a lot of pieces at one time. Did nothing for about 3 months except work on that.
So you actually started it with the idea, I mean, that's like uncharacteristic for you too. You knew what you were starting, you know.
Well, I said to this guy, I'm going to do a large portrait. Would you sit for it? And he said, okay.
He didn't know it was going to be 3 months.
No, what I did also was I took a digital photograph of him and I put it on my computer. And he would sit for about an hour a week, and I spent about maybe 60 hours a week for 3 months just doing that. That was really hard work because I would work on it, I would look at far away, then I'd work on it more. It was just like, you know, I started to feel like Michelangelo doing the Sistine Chapel. It was like, it was not all fun and games. So this, I think, let me take these.
So what are you gonna do with it? Is that one of your keepers, or is that a?
Well, my wife said if you're gonna let it go, make sure that you are very well compensated for it. Yeah. It's, you know, but the cool thing is get really close up to it. It falls apart. The closer you get, it's, you understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Just keep moving in on it. Just keep zoom.
Yeah, I did. So, and you were working that close to it, so you were kind of lost in it while you were doing it.
I kept stepping away to check it out. Yeah, and then eventually, I just said, "Okay, it's done." You know, I mean, I could work on it. You could work it. I could work on that until like. I could work on it 60 hours a week for the next 20, 30 years. But eventually it just said, okay, I'm done. What's interesting about the space is it's sort of like an archaeological dig, where the further you get back towards that wall, the earlier stuff is. You know, like this stuff's pretty recent, but then there's stuff, sometimes because we're getting stuff ready for the show, I'm going back there and looking at stuff, and I'm like, wow, look at this. And also it's interesting to look at the older stuff because I didn't realize, you see the evolution of your stuff changing with time. You know, I mean, like there's stuff, if you look at my website and you see the early stuff I did, one thing that I've noticed is my early stuff is very coherent, very organized. It's closer to the chiropractic, to not being chiropractic anymore, consciousness. You know, you don't, if you're ready to chiropractic, you don't create stuff like this. This is more free and loose and less logic, and it's more random. It's less orderly. It's less tidy. It's less everything just so, you know. For me, I found I'm not always in the space of what am I doing. I'm not being genuine with my art. You understand what I'm saying? It's always like I'm thinking like, what am I doing? I'm writing a word over and over and over again. You know, it's like when you're coloring in these green things, okay? You're in this transcendent space, which is you're not even thinking about it. What am I doing? You're just doing it. It's like, never talking about the Schrodinger's cat thing. The box, you're in the box. You're the cat. You know, the less often you open the box to see what time it is and see if you got any email, and to see making a phone call, the better. The more time you spend inside the box coloring the green squares, the better. You know? It's extremely counterintuitive. You know, it really goes against the grain. It's like what I said. Let's say you wake up in the morning and everything you know is wrong. It's a very Alice in Wonderland kind of existence for me now. Everything is weird. Up is down now. That's just the way it is. I'm not saying I'm happy about that. I'm not saying I'm unhappy about that. That's just the way it is. It's a train wreck. Is it a good train wreck or a bad train wreck? I'm not going to quantify it. That's the most flattering thing to me, that other people get jazzed by looking at this, and they're like, "Hey, you know, like." But at the same time, I must tell you, it's very daunting to stare at a blank paper and figure you got to put the pen down and start the drawing. You got to figure out what color, and you got to start drawing someplace. But then, once you start the drawing, then what you do next is less important, you know? And then, I mean, you see the way I work. I don't think at all about what I'm going to do. At all. And you know what? Counterintuitively, the less I think about it, the better. For some tasks, thinking about what you do is supremely important. Probably for most. For whatever you did as an engineer, planning ahead and planning your work is really, really valuable. But for me, it's a waste of time. And that realization is extremely isolating and alienating for me. It's really because I don't know anybody else who thinks this way. And it makes me feel very alone. I don't know, it doesn't make me feel lonely. I don't feel lonely, but I feel in a solitude kind of place. Do you understand what I mean? The difference between feeling alone and lonely?
Yep.
They're different. Most people think they're the same thing, but they're not the same thing. They're different. I mean, I'll give you an example. Okay. I'm invited to this black tie dinner. Okay? Big black tie dinner, you know, that big black tie auction. You know? You have to have a tuxedo on. I'm thinking, I have to rent a tuxedo. I have to go to Boston, buy a tuxedo. I mean, this is like, how many times? So I go to Bananas, and I buy a tuxedo with a tuxedo shirt, with the cummerbund, with the bow tie, for $70. And I wore my black cowboy boots. I looked at them, and they're badly in need of to be shined. And I'm like, I said to my wife, I said, do I need to shine these boots? She said, just put the boots on, let's go. You look great, you know. But do you understand my point? I'm like some people are like, well, let me think, which tuxedo? The one about Louis or my Armani tuxedo? Which tuxedo should I wear? And can we take the limo to the black tie event? Oh, no, the limo driver is wherever. You know, and it's on and on and on. I know because I used to be in that place. I don't know about that place. I was that place. I was that guy.
So what do you think? Are these done? Most of them?
Most of them probably are.
Some aren't. Like, this has the texture of being finished.
Yeah, it does.
So does that.
Like, let me... Yeah, some are done, some are less done than others. Let's see here. Well, you know what's. I mean, like, let's say I did this, and let's say I started on this one, and all I did was the circle with that guy. That's it. It would be done. But I mean, like, sometimes I'll add on to this. I could work on this all day long, and just, like, with a fine pen. But it could be done. It's funny. My art, I think, reaches like a critical mass where it's done and has texture of being done, and then you can always make it more done. But there's certain psychic threshold it reaches for me where it's done. This is OCD. I have OCD. Beats the hell out of washing your hands 100 times in a row till the wrong bleeding.
Yeah.
You know? Nobody's going to pay $100 for your wrong bleeding hands.
Exactly.
But they're going to pay $100 for writing the same word over and over and over again. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like, and I realized that even pictures like this are. It's a self-portrait. I mean, who is this guy? It's, you know, I realized that the only pictures I draw that don't have aren't a whole lot of self-portraiture is pictures I draw of women. I don't relate to pictures I draw of women. But even that, a thing like that, it looks completely abstract, but there's a lot of anthropomorphic stuff going on with that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm so used to seeing your line drawings. You know, that's what that one over in the wall, your self-portrait in the wall, surprised me because you got a lot of, you know, it looks like you used a different technique on that one. I mean,
I forget what I was going to say, but I mean, you think about it. Whatever you do, is informative about your own persona, and it's very. I mean, I'll look at all my stuff. I'll look at stuff like at that art show we were at, or right here, and I'm like, it's very sobering to like. This is what I'm all about now. You know, most people, I mean, it's pretty, think about it, you know, like this is who I am. I'm doing this stuff. This is who I am. You know, I write this stuff and I talk about the stuff I'm talking about now, and it's pretty weird.